Tying up a real interesting little wet fly from Ray Bergman's book Trout today. This is called the Undertaker, and it's a pretty interesting tie because of the matched and married wings on it. It's a simple wool body. There's no rib. There's no tip on this. It's just a black hackle. But what's interesting is how the recipe is written for the fly and how the fly is put together. If you look in the book in the back, a lot of times people have a hard time with these recipes because, like the Undertaker, it's on plate 9. It says the body is just white wool. There's no rib, no tip. The tail is black and white. Hackle is black. And then the wing is white and black. Kind of nondescript. It doesn't tell you exactly what feather to use or for the hackles or for the wings. It leaves a lot of this up to your discretion. But the interesting thing is it actually does tell you on these matched and married tails and wings the order of the colors, because the tail is black and white, so it's black on the white, and the wing is white on black. Sometimes I get questions from people sometimes about these recipes and the orders and stuff like that, and it does tell you in there. Plus, if you look at the fly on plate 9, you'll see that that's how it's done. Just thought it was rather interesting and be an interesting fly to do a video on. So that's the Undertaker. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the Undertaker with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 and a size 6, just a standard wet fly hook. I'm going to go ahead and debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread. The Undertaker has a white wool body, so I don't want to use a black thread to start out with, otherwise it'll darken it up. So I'm going to use a 70 denier Danville in white. I already put some wax on the thread. I'm going to attach this about an eye length behind the eye of the hook and advance the thread rearward to just past the point of the hook. This is where I'm going to tie in the tail. There's no tip and there's no rib on the Undertaker. The tail is a matched and married. I'm using some goose. And it is black on white. And as I explained in the introduction, it's kind of interesting how in the Bergman book, he laid it out so that you know which is on top, because this pattern is kind of interesting in that the black is on top of the tail, but on the bottom for the wing. So that means I'm going to first start out with the white here. I'm going to pull my slip for, oh, I got one barb here I didn't quite cut through. I'm going to pull the slip for the right side of the lower right side of the tail. And then I will, holding that in my hand here, I'll match the tip up on the black. So I've already pre-cut these on the feather, and I use the feather to kind of just hold on to them while I am matching those together. Now that tip is just, the black is just inside of the white. You want to have that match up so that they flow nicely. Sometimes these are a little bit fiddly to get that correct, and see, I made it worse there. May have to get some younger eyes to do this. Some new glasses. There we go. It's not imperative, especially if this is a fishing fly, but if you're going to present these, you just want to make certain that looks like, it just sweeps up real nice. So that is the right side there. Now I'll do the left side here. And incidentally, you do the same thing for the wings. Just you're going to do the black first, and then the left side here. Now, unfortunately, this goose feather that I have has some torn up barbs on the end, so it's not going to look quite as good. But this is going to be a fishing fly, and it will work just fine. Now, these are wider. The white's about 1 barb wider, and the black might be 2 wider, but that's fine, because what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pick up the right side here that I left sitting on my vise base, holding it in my hand. It's easier to do when you're just doing this by yourself because your hands are lower down by the table. Up here in front of the camera, it can be a little bit more challenging. I'm going to hold that in my hand like this, and I'm going to match those tips up, but I'm also matching the line up. I want the line between the white and the black on both sides to be matched up, because I have 1 barb too wide there and 1 too wide on the black. So I will reach in with my bodkin and get 1 out of the black on that side. And then I'll come in and I'll get 1 of the white. And that will give me a tail where they're about even. You can go a little bit narrower on the tail overall if you want to, but this is as far as wet flies go, this is a larger size hook, so I'm just going to go with a little bit larger tail. I'm going to attach that down to the hook, making certain that it's right on top, advancing my thread down to the end of the shank. I want to make certain you don't twist that around to the other side. There you go. Trim these the length of the body. As I mentioned, the body on this is just a white wool. I am using, this is some bleached merino wool yarn. You could use just regular wool dubbing if you want to, or if you've got some other natural type of lamb's wool, you could use that. But it's just a white wool. Now this is 4 strands in this. I'm going to only use 2 of them. Then I get a little bit smoother body on this. And getting those 2 out sometimes can present a challenge. So there you go. We have just 2 of them in there. I'm going to tie this in a little bit long. You'll see in just a minute why. I'm going to get some wax on my thread, and I'm going to advance my thread forward to about halfway up the shank of the hook. The wool, especially the yarns, because they're twisted and everything, there's some stretch in this. If I were to pull this straight and cut that the length of the body, it's actually going to come back just a little bit. So I advance this almost to the end of the body before I cut it, because then I'm going to end up, I don't want to end up with a shorter piece, and which really doesn't matter because the wool, it's not that dependent on the real smooth underbody. Then with my thread right at the end of the body, I can now apply that wool. I'm going to untwist it. So I'm going to take that wool and I'm going to twist it the opposite direction to flatten it out. And then when I bring it around, I just want to make certain that I have flattened it all out. I find it gives me a nice smooth body, but at the same time, I still end up with just a little bit of a hint of segmentation. It's not a real smooth body, but I think it looks very nice. I'll secure that at the end of the body and trim away the excess. Now I'm going to advance my thread forward to just behind the eye of the hook, and I'm going to attach my black thread. First, I'm going to put a little bit of wax on the thread. I'm going to attach my thread right behind the eye of the hook, and as I wrap backwards, I'm going to trap the white and the tag end of the black, and then I can trim away the white thread. Advancing my thread back to the back of the head here, that's where I'm going to tie in the throat. Throat is just some black hackles, so I'm going to use some Schlappen for this. Place my Schlappen underneath with the tips back to about the barb, and do a little upside down pinch wrap there to secure that in. Smooth that area off a little bit. I'm ready to tie in my wing. And I'm going to put just a little bit more wax on the thread here just to give me a little bit more grip. Now the wing, I've already processed the wings. As I mentioned though, on the Undertaker, the interesting thing is a lot of your wet flies will have matched and married tails and wings, but they usually will follow the same formula. So if the white's on black here, or white is on the bottom here, and black is on top, then in the wing, it's going to be white on the bottom and black. But this one is the opposite. The black is on top in the tail, as I mentioned, and it's on the bottom on the inside here. Now this is just a little bit wide. I think the white I have 1 or 2 barbs wide. I'll peel those out. Make certain my tips are even. And then I'm ready to tie that in. I want the tips to go about halfway down the tail. Now the white and the black on the other side separated as I tied that in, and that happens sometimes with these married wings. It could be that that white and black just didn't marry up that well. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can exhale on these, and the heat and moisture will help to fluff out the barbules, I mean, that those will stick together a little bit better. Let me see how that works. You can steam them if you really wanted to. Keeping in mind that sometimes you get some wings formed like this and you tie them in 2 or 3 times and they just don't want to go the way you want them to. And maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe it's time to get some new wings. So with that secured in, I'm going to trim away the excess here. I think what I'm getting here also is the wings on these, see if I can show you this. This section right here, when you start getting up the tail here, this section gets wider and wider, mostly because these get shorter, but this section here is really, really tough to tie in and get nicely swept wings on flies like these. Generally, you want to clip them much further down here so you're actually anchoring in this part of the feather. It compresses a lot easier. But I think on these wings, I've about hit my limit for those feathers of what I can get for this size hook. But as I mentioned, this is a fishing fly, so I'm going to go with this. It's not the greatest wing in the world, but sometimes they don't turn out that great. And those are the ones you go fishing with. So with my head all complete, I will flatten my thread. Put in my whip finish. Trim away the thread, and I can put some fly tight on the head here. That'll soak down in those thread wraps and secure it. I'll come back and put a couple coats of a clear lacquer on there and then a top coat of black lacquer, and our Undertaker is complete. That looks a little bit better. Split that up a little. So there you have it. That's the Undertaker. It's a high contrast fly, which is really nice. Fish love contrast. But I found this one interesting because of the fact that the recipe, as I mentioned, even tells you how to put these in, that the black is on the white, that the white is on the black and the wing. And I think that the reason is when this swims in the water and this all folds down, you've got a nice little streamer fly here, and that's a nice prominent lateral line down the side of the fly. That's my speculation. So, but that is the Undertaker. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.